Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to do a special selection today, which is where one of you tell me exactly what I need to check out. And if you'd like to submit your own special selection, you can find the link in the description. Today's comes at us from 100%. The second Cardiac's request, Dog Like Sparky from 1995. It's just a catchy pop tune. All right, let's get into this. We got Cardiac's Dog Like Sparky. Let's dive in.
You ever believe in big, strong, tiny legs? I do believe in bad flying aeroplane. Then you will rejoice in believing in Dog Like Sparky. He's the heaven sent, but will he suffer from your sweetness? If I'm a dog, then shake hands.
What is going on with that opening? Yeah, once again? Oh man, this is weird. I'm really loving the timbre layer in every section here. I also love the not so subtle accelerandos and retardandos utilized to cross these tempo shifts. I like that bass tone though. Bass is actually carrying a lot of this right here. Got a nice bass line as a foundation for the rest of this stuff. That's the second very interesting effect I've heard on this track. Well, man, at the end of the day, I cannot fault Cardiacs for their creativeness, nor their identifiable music. They stand out. I've heard four Cardiac songs now, I think, and I am fairly certain that if I heard a song just out and about in my day and I didn't have access to the name of the band singing it, I'd probably still be able to pick out that it's a Cardiac song because they have just a very distinctive element to their playing. Um, it's very Cardiacs. Let's get into this because I have a lot of confusion because I feel like I'm going to repeat everything I said yesterday, even about the very specific things I spoke about yesterday, which completely boggles me. Uh, First of all, our opening verse is in 4/4 with a hiccup, and the hiccup is implemented, an extra beat or so is applied at the end of it so that it can introduce an off-kiltering, as far as rhythmic quality goes, an off-kiltering, uh, basically an orchestral. It's not a stinger in this case, but it does the same job. In this situation, we have that da 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 1 2 3 4 like, but like chromatic. I don't know why I did the Adams Family thing. Four notes chromatically rising, and done to space out the two parts of the verse, vocally, the lyrics. Otherwise, the lyrics would run on and on and on into each other. There's no space there. So they inject an extra beat and a half maybe, to put this little idea in. Last song it was a stinger. This song it's a chromatic rising of steps with the exact same purpose. And this is 8 years later. Then we go into a chorus that is sonically different than what came before it. And it's also just a constant onslaught of vocal delivery with music that lines up against it and introduces rhythmic jarring elements in it as well, just like yesterday's Cardiac's track, RES. It I haven't seen this pattern before in Cardiac songs, I don't think. Hearing these back to back, day to day, I can't help but see the similarities in some of the structural things going on here. And it's just kind of bonkers. I don't know if I don't know if 100% selected these two songs because of that and they're hoping I would see these similarities, or if it's just random circumstance, or maybe this actually appears in a lot of Cardiac's tracks and it's very difficult to not choose two that do this similar thing. Maybe they have a formula to their works. But yeah, it's very weird to hear these exact ideas being utilized in a different take, a different idea, um, slight variations to it. And then, of course, after we have this constant onslaught of just constant eighth notes, the vocals are in on it, the instruments are in on it in this chorus, we move into this bridge section that introduces a flurry of ideas that are constantly changing, constantly coming at me in a very disjointed way. However, in this one, I will say that I enjoyed their attempt at continuity between it all by utilizing accelerandos and retardandos to make the tempo changes feel slightly natural as part of the song rather than just smashing two ideas together. But it's almost like using a a fast pan that's going to blur, the motion blur of a fast pan to cover up a smash cut. You're still not, you're still using two distinct ideas, you're still smashing them together, but you're blurring the line so that it's more difficult to see the barrier between these two ideas. And I think that analogy, that film analogy, works here very well because of the speed of the retardandos and the accelerandos, which is just fancy words for speeding up and slowing down. Accelerando, like accelerate, means to increase the tempo over time. Retardando means to slow it down over time. And they happen quick in a single beat. I would say most of the time there is that slow the extended retardando that happened closer to the end, maybe about the 3.5 4 minute mark, when we gradually came into the next segment, maybe about a bar's worth of slowing down. But it was the outlier. Most of the time we were having these very abrupt changes. And it's interesting because it has the exact same effect of feeling jarring. But instead of just instantly being in this next mode, we hear this dissonant warping. We can feel the surge or feel the lethargy setting in as we move into the next concept, but it isn't enough of a time for it to feel natural. It still feels very instantaneous. It still has that unnatural jarring feeling to it. Once again, we're taking ideas from RES that we explored in RES and seeing how they're reutilized in a new context here, while still retaining many of the same purposes of them. And it's just kind of bonkers to hear this. It is I'm really curious uh if this was intentional or not. Or even, I don't know if it is intentional. I think that's interesting, and I would love to hear an interview from whoever was on the group that wrote Dog Like Sparky and RES, and see why they decided to go this route of almost like a remake musically, not lyrically. Lyrically, these two songs are very different, but musically, there's a lot of elements that are getting carried over, a lot of thematic ideas in the music that are being revisited in not a one-to-one carbon copy, but a very close copy. If it's not intentional, I guess my next question is, how often does this show up? Like I said, is this just random chance that we got two songs like this? Or is this something that pops up a lot in cardiacs? Is this something I can look forward to? Um, Now, I really want to speak about this positively because this is another song, much like RES, that I think works very well in individual pockets. When I look at the chorus, I enjoy the chorus. I like the gang vocal kind of thing going on, even though it's not a gang vocal, though. It's more like a choir. I feel like everybody's hitting exact pitches. It isn't, but it isn't choir esque, right? I feel like there's still an amount of sort of a group of people at a pub just kind of singing a song together where the pitch doesn't quite matter. But man, I don't know. It's some middle ground between that, right? There's definitely some harmony to it, and I think that's because most of the people in the vocals have vocal training of some sort. They can hit pitches, and we're getting some nice triads out of that. But there's still that element of just, it's mostly underneath the harmonic work where it's just the group of vocals kind of supporting it. There's this weird mix between that. It's really fascinating. But yeah, we have this very wide vocal range that's being supported also by, I think the guitar is doing the exact same thing the vocals are doing, and we're getting some nice textural harmony there, which we're also getting a ton of textural harmony from all the vocals in there already. And then we're just introducing this fun bouncy drum stuff underneath it. The bass is walking, doing some really nice stuff foundationally, holding it all up. Fantastic section. There's a section later on where there's a female clean vocal that takes lead, and we see an invert of this where it has the fun poppiness in the vocal line and the melody line, where some of the textural stuff is on underneath in the foundational work, the bass, the drums. And yeah, like when I look at individual pockets of this track, I can point out and say, I love how they're doing this. I love what they're doing about this. They have a fantastic uh, mastery over everything they have on display. I don't know how many people are in Cardiacs at this point when this album came out in '96. I've seen a lot of pictures of Cardiacs. I probably should check out their wiki one of these days. I'd wager they have a pretty lengthy past members list, though. Uh, but it seems like they kind of move. Well, they traditionally have a lot of members in their group, and I find that fascinating. Um, but they have a lot of instrumentation that they can choose from, much like when we checked out Yes earlier today, and they know when to use what they want to use, as well as picking specific timbres to create specific sounds and tones and atmospheres. They are masters at their craft. Like I said, it's a very unique sound. As far as I'm concerned, there's nobody quite like Cardiacs, and I could pick a song out from them pretty blindly. That's a weird phrase. Like I said earlier, if I just hear it out in the wild, I'll be like, "That's a Cardiac song." I won't know it, but I'll be very sure, just because their sound is very unique to them. Um, and like I said, individual moments I really enjoy, but as a package, I don't. The songs just never come together for me. It's fun. It's entertaining. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. I don't want to write that off or say that it's a lesser form of music because it's not some high art, massive epic that utilizes all the tools in the composer's toolbox to create just the most encompassing, work of art you've ever heard. That is not Cardiacs, and that's fine. But they do use a lot of the tools in the toolbox to create their brand of art. And I don't know if it's for me. And that's fine. I am curious though. I've heard a lot of wacky Cardiacs. We've had this, we've had RES, we've had Tarred and Feathered. I can't remember the name of the fourth one, but I'm pretty sure that was another wacky, fun one. Is there a Cardiacs that's a little bit more restrained? Just kind of bringing the chaos in a little bit instead of just letting it run at 11 in all directions. I'm kind of curious about that. I don't think I would want I might want a full album of that. I think they're doing fantastic stuff. It's just they're unrestrained. And I think that's my big hurdle with them is getting past that unrestrained creativity. I absolutely love it from an artistic section, but from a critical one, from a casual one, yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more cohesion to it. There was one thing I wanted to talk about before I ended this one. I don't remember what it was though, which is a shame. Anyways, if I remember it in the next minute doing this sign off, we'll circle back, I promise. That's it for this one though. Oh, I got it. I remember. So the song's called Dog Like Sparky, and I went over the lyrics, and it basically seems to be this uh play on religion, sort of. It's about this dog-like god named Sparky, and having high praise for it, and doing things dog-like and praising things that are dog-like. And I think this works well. It works a lot better than RES did yesterday, which I felt kind of aired a little bit more towards the serious side thematically, at least what I could pull from the lyrics. And there's this disconnect there. But I think with this, where you get the wacky sounding song that is constantly subverting expectations with a wacky bit of lyricism that subverts expectations intelligently, I think it's just a fantastic marriage there. Even though, like I said, the music is still a bit disjointed for me, I do think this is a much better pairing of lyrical and musical theme. And if I listen to Cardiacs, this is what I would be listening for. I just think that they do a fantastic job of using their music and the unhingedness of the music to elevate speaking about themes and topics in a slightly comical metaphorical way rather than trying to run on directly, which is kind of what I felt was going on with RES. Um, but again, maybe that's just me. Those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions. This is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are with Cardiac's Dog Like Sparky. Let me know if you enjoyed this, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Let me know. We'll have a conversation down there. And I'm, like I said yesterday, I'm open to other people's perspectives, right? This is definitely a band I don't quite get. I can see why people like them, but I am not quite at the point where I have the perspective of other people's adoration or joy from listening to their music. When you're done commenting, you can head up to the description box, and there is a link for Linktree. It'll take you to this menu right here. You can find all sorts of stuff related to the channel or me. You got merch, you got Discord, you can join the Patreon, you can submit your own special selections, you can follow me on Twitter, lots of stuff. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Now I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. We'll be looking at another vulnerable side track, kind of hoping that this one is actually a little bit closer to what I'm expecting. Anyways, and then another special selection. Otherwise, no, I already did that. Remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.